So I asked you the question, what is the gift that your mom gave to you? What is that gift? And I would like to hear it, and we'll have to just sort of shout it out, but I want to hear, maybe one at a time. Your mom gave you the gift of security, so you feel secure. She what?
First baseball glove.
She gave you your first baseball glove. Was it for the Cubs?
Yeah.
Did you get to go? He's from Chicago, you know. He's a Cub fan. That's why you're wearing Cub blue. She gave you your first baseball glove. So a love of baseball. Yeah.
Self-expression.
She gave you the gift of self-expression.
My mother gave me the gift that all people are equal and should be treated with equal respect.
So your mother gave you the gift that all people are equal and should be treated equally and with respect. What a great gift.
And she passed that on to me.
And she passed it on to her daughter.
Love of music.
A love of music. Your mom gave you the love of music.
Spirituality.
She gave you spirituality. Kathleen.
Determination.
She gave you the gift of determination, never stop.
Sensitivity.
Sensitivity. We had a young boy at the first service said his mother gave him the gift of eating. Never underestimate just the smallest things. But
Humor.
your mother gave you the gift of humor. That's great.
The power of the word. My mom did cancer with just the power of thought.
Wow. Your mother gave you the gift of the power of word. Healing and illness. Wow.
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence. Your mother, who's sitting right next to you, gave you the gift of self-confidence. Yeah.
Free spirit.
She gave you the gift of being a free spirit. Yeah.
Love of gardening.
Love of gardening in the back.
Seeing the positive in all situations.
Seeing the positive.
Me too.
And there's another. See how it's passed down from generation to generation. Yeah.
Not fight over girls.
I did not hear that. I didn't hear it. Not to fight for girls? Not to fight over girls. Okay, very wise. Yeah.
Acceptance.
Acceptance, and your mom is sitting next to you, Barbara.
An inquiring mind.
An inquiring mind.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Carol.
Nature and animals.
And nature and animals. I see how you treat your doggies.
Resiliency.
Resiliency.
Learning how to forgive the unforgivable.
Learning how to forgive the unforgivable. What a gift.
Courage to dream big.
The courage to dream big. Is that your mom sitting there? How sweet.
Strength.
Strength.
Those who appear to be the least in need of love need it the most.
Those who
appear to be in the least of need of love need it the most.
those who appear to be the least in need of love are the ones who need it the most. Yeah, Libby?
The gift of her appearance after her death.
Wow, the gift of her appearance after her death. Anybody else have that one? Yeah. Dirk?
Gift of free thinking.
Free thinking. So I want you to just hold, whether you spoke it out or not, the gift that your mom gave you, because that gift continues to live through you, and as we see just in this room, we see how we pass it on to our children, and then they pass it down to their children, or if we don't have physical children, then we pass that gift on to our, we just pass it on because of who we are. So that gift of motherhood, the gift that our mothers gave us is so big and it's so huge, and it crosses all time and all barriers. So I want to talk about the other side too, which is children. The gift of being a mother and having children and what that does. And I think that one of the gifts that motherhood brings us, and fatherhood and parenthood in general, is the gift of flexibility. Because as soon as you figure out how to be the mother to a baby, then they're a toddler, right? And then you go, okay, I got that one figured out. I know how to be the mother to a toddler, and then, well, guess what? They're in preschool, and you figure that out, and then they're in school, and then it keeps going. And it's like, it's always stretching you, is it not? I mean, as soon as you think you know how to be the best kind of parent, you need to change and be a different kind of parent. And you give it all. You give your time, you give your money, women give their bodies over to this experience of having children, and then one day they just get up and they leave. I mean, what's that about? You know, and for those of you who have small children, it feels like it's never going to end. Well, guess what? It ends, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute. And a friend of mine who had lost her son, he was killed in a car wreck last year, and she said that what she does with all that nurturing energy that she has is she's turning it on herself. That she's using that nurturing, powerful mother energy and she's giving it to herself. So if any of you are empty nesters, if your children have flown away and you have all that nurturing energy, guess who gets it? You get it. And then once you get it, and that nurturing energy, that nurturing power heals all things. Really, it's the force that heals all things. So the other gift of motherhood is that of unconditional love, that you love your children, whether they're crabby or whether they're happy, it doesn't matter. You're there and you love them. And when my son was born, you know, I had this image of what it was going to look like because I was at the birth of my girlfriend when she gave birth to her son, and it was just this loving, wonderful experience, and he was born, and she picked him up, and she said, oh, I love you, and she kissed him, and it was very sweet, just like you see in a book. So I thought, well, that's how it's going to be for me. And what happened was my son was born in an hour and a half. I mean, he was born so fast, so that when he was born, he was so mad. And he looked at me, you know, you get that image, oh, I'm going to see my baby. He looked at me like he was going to kill me. And I thought, you know, this isn't what I had imagined at all. I was expecting this, you know, oh, and he was just like, ah, you know, and I thought, thank God he can't hurt me yet. And of course he got over it and it was fine, but it's true, there's that unconditional love, that you love them anyway, no matter what they're doing, no matter what's happening. It's that source of that nurturing and loving that is continually pouring out of us. So our children have given us gifts, our mothers have given us gifts, and we continue to live in that and pass that along. Now I want to say a few words just about love, about the traditional roles that we live in. I know we don't live traditional roles anymore because mothers are working and fathers are home and things are all, you know, different as they should be. But there's a book that I was recently looking at called Power and Love by Adam Kahane, and he speaks to the idea of making changes in the world, because the truth is we also have planet Earth as our mother. Do we not? The nurturing, she gives and gives and gives, and we need to start turning around and giving that nurturing energy back to her. And in this book he talks about the different roles and the idea of having power and of having love, and that we need to balance both of them. We need to balance power, and we need to balance power with love, and we need to balance love with power. Example. So in his book he's talking about the traditional roles that men and women used to play, and that men were out in the world, and that men were influencing the world and things that happened, but they were disconnected from love, so that when they came back to their families, they weren't present to their wives or to their kids, and so there was a disconnect. And yet, when you look at the other side of the traditional role, which is the former like stay-at-home mom who gave her physical life over to her children and gave everything over to her children, and then when they grew, there was nothing left for her. I want to share with you what he says. The degenerative side of power is that he can become so focused on his work that he denies his connection to his colleagues and families and becomes a robot or a tyrant. Now I'm saying he, but it's true, it could be she. We all have the male and the female within us. And a degenerative side of love is that she can become so identified with her child and family that she denies their and especially her own need for self-realization, and so stunts their and her own growth. So what I'm saying is that there's got to be a balance between power, and there's got to be a balance between love. Because when we have power without love, we're manipulative, we're destructive. But when we have love without power, we're just sort of like, nah, 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 you know, everything's nice and sweet, but nothing gets done. And Martin Luther King said it this way. He said, power without love is reckless and it's abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. So one of the things that we can look at and begin to learn and look at in the form of healing the planet, I think. You know, we started with the proclamation for calling for peace. But what I'm seeing in this woman is not just like, yeah, let's just stand around and be sweet about it. I'm hearing her call for. So Annie, would you drop the screen, please? Because I would like to actually see the declaration, the proclamation for Mother's Day. It's poetically said in this video.